In 1922, an archaeological discovery in Jerusalem unearthed ancient scrolls containing prayers used by early Christians to overcome desperate poverty. When Florence Scovel Shinn gained access to these scrolls through an archaeologist friend, she was astounded to discover that one prayer mirrored a method she'd independently developed through divine revelation. It was a 3-day prayer with the power to completely heal the chronic poverty consciousness that trapped millions in perpetual financial struggle. What Florence uncovered would forever change our understanding of spiritual prosperity. I'm your host, and today we'll explore one of Florence Scovel Shinn's most powerful methods for radically transforming your relationship with money and abundance. Florence wasn't just a pioneer of practical spirituality. She was a tireless researcher who tested every method until it proved effective in real life. When she discovered that early Christians used specific 3-day prayers to overcome poverty, Florence immersed herself in years of experimentation, ultimately developing a modern protocol based on these ancient principles. This isn't a theoretical method. It's a proven spiritual practice that has transformed thousands of lives over a century, permanently healing what Florence called the chronic poverty of the soul. To understand this method's genius, we must first grasp the fundamental distinction Florence Scovel Shinn made between circumstantial poverty and chronic poverty. Circumstantial poverty, according to Florence, is temporary, caused by external factors: job loss, illness, accidents, economic downturns. Chronic poverty, however, is a deeply ingrained state of consciousness, a mindset that repeatedly attracts scarcity, regardless of opportunities. Florence observed that people with chronic poverty exhibited specific thought and behavior patterns that unconsciously sabotaged any attempt at prosperity. They received money and inexplicably lost it. They landed good jobs and somehow lost them. They had brilliant business ideas but never implemented them. It was as if an invisible force kept them perpetually in want. Florence's revelation came when she understood that chronic poverty wasn't a financial condition, but a spiritual ailment requiring a specific process of purification and consciousness reprogramming. The Jerusalem scrolls confirmed her intuition. Early Christians already knew that true prosperity required a profound inner transformation, achievable only through intense prayer in specific cycles. The 3-day method Florence developed was based on the biblical principle of resurrection. Just as Jesus remained 3 days in the tomb before rising to new life, the poverty consciousness needed to die for 3 days to resurrect into an abundance consciousness. Florence found that 3 days was the minimum time needed to completely break the neurological and energetic patterns sustaining the scarcity mindset. The protocol Florence created was rigorous and demanded full commitment for 72 consecutive hours. The first essential element was a light fast. For 3 days, the individual would consume only water, herbal teas, and fresh fruit. Florence discovered that digesting heavy foods kept excessive energy in the physical body, preventing the consciousness from reaching the altered states necessary for profound transformation. But fasting was only the preparation. The method's true power lay in the specific sequence of prayers Florence developed based on the ancient scrolls. These prayers were divided into 3 distinct phases, one for each day, each with a specific purpose in the consciousness healing process. Day 1 was dedicated to what Florence called the death of the poverty consciousness. For 24 hours, beginning at 6 in the morning, the person would repeat a specific renunciation prayer every hour. I now surrender to the light of Christ, all belief in limitation, all belief in scarcity, all fear of not having enough. May all that does not serve the divine abundance that is my rightful inheritance die within me. Florence discovered that repeating this prayer wholly for 24 hours created a state of consciousness where old limiting beliefs literally dissolved. She documented that many people reported intense dreams during the first night, symbolically witnessing their poverty beliefs being destroyed or buried. Between the hourly prayers of the first day, the person would silently meditate, visualizing golden light burning away all memories of want, all experiences of financial humiliation, all money-related fears. Florence emphasized that this visualization wasn't mere imagination, but a real process of energetic cleansing, erasing the negative, energetic imprints etched onto the consciousness. Day 2, Florence dedicated to what she termed the purification of the divine inheritance. After 24 hours of dissolving the negative, it was time to cleanse and prepare the consciousness to receive the positive. The second day's prayer was, "Heavenly Father, I claim now my divine inheritance of unlimited abundance. May every cell of my being be purified to receive the prosperity you prepared for me from the foundation of the world." During the second day, Florence instructed the individual to continuously read specific biblical passages on prosperity, Psalms 23, 37, and 112, the promises of Deuteronomy 28, Jesus' parables on abundance. But it wasn't just passive reading. The person should personalize each verse, declaring it as truth for their own life. Florence discovered that the second day was often the most emotionally challenging. After dissolving the old beliefs, the person was temporarily without mental anchors, in a state of emptiness that could generate intense anxiety. Florence prepared her disciples for this phase, explaining that it was normal and necessary. You are between two worlds, leaving the old and not yet established in the new. Maintain absolute faith in the process. The third and final day was dedicated to the resurrection into abundance. This was the day of final transformation, where the new consciousness of prosperity was definitively established. The third day's prayer was the most powerful. I rise now in the consciousness of divine abundance. I am prosperous. I am blessed. I am an unlimited channel through which God's prosperity flows into the world. All lack is dead. All abundance is alive within me. Florence found that during the third day, especially in the last 12 hours, people often experienced states of spiritual ecstasy, visions of future prosperity, or profound insights into opportunities that were about to appear in their lives. It was as if God's own consciousness manifested to confirm the transformation that had taken place. But Florence also developed specific protocols for different types of chronic poverty consciousness. She identified that some people had poverty rooted in religious guilt, feeling unworthy of prosperity. Others in childhood trauma, associating money with danger or conflict. And others in family curses, ancestral patterns of scarcity. For cases of religious guilt, Florence added to the protocol specific readings about abundance being God's will for his children. She quoted Jesus saying, "I came that they may have life and have it abundantly," and explained that rejecting prosperity was rejecting a divine blessing. During the 3 days, the person should repeat, "God rejoices in my prosperity. Accepting abundance is what's honoring divine generosity." For childhood traumas related to money, Florence adapted the protocol to include specific prayers for emotional healing. She had discovered that many people unconsciously associated money with conflict because they witnessed family arguments over financial matters. The protocol included declarations like, I now heal every painful memory related to money. I declare that prosperity brings peace, love, and joy into my life. For family curses, Florence combined the 3-day protocol with elements from Psalm 109, creating an extremely powerful hybrid method to break ancestral patterns of poverty. In these cases, she extended the protocol to 5 days, adding 2 initial days specifically to break energetic ties with the family lineage. One of the most documented cases by Florence was that of Margaret Thompson, a 45-year-old widow who had attempted numerous businesses without ever achieving financial prosperity. Margaret had all the qualifications to be successful: intelligence, education, networking, and abundant opportunities. But invariably, something went wrong in each venture. When Margaret sought Florence out in 1924, she was desperate. Florence immediately identified classic symptoms of chronic poverty consciousness. Margaret unconsciously sabotaged her own opportunities because her deep consciousness did not feel deserving of prosperity. Florence applied the complete 3-day protocol with Margaret, carefully documenting each phase of the process. During the first day, Margaret experienced what she described as a deep sadness, as if she were truly dying. Florence explained that this was exactly what was happening. The old identity based on limitation was dying. During the second day, Margaret reported vivid dreams where she saw herself as a child, being rejected by her parents for wanting things too expensive. The third day brought the transformative revelation. Margaret had a clear vision of herself running a prosperous business, surrounded by satisfied clients and financial abundance. More importantly, she felt for the first time in her life that she truly deserved this prosperity. It was as if a heavy cloud had been lifted from my soul, she wrote in her testimony. Exactly 15 days after completing the protocol, Margaret received a partnership proposal in a decorating business that became extremely lucrative. But most significantly, this time, Margaret did not sabotage the opportunity. She embraced it with complete confidence and built a business empire that supported her for the rest of her life. Florence also discovered that the 3-day protocol created changes that went beyond the financial realm. People who completed the process reported improvement in relationships, health, creativity, and overall sense of life purpose. Florence explained that this happened because chronic poverty consciousness contaminated all areas of existence, and when it was healed, the entire life flourished. A fascinating aspect of Florence's method was that it often revealed hidden talents or forgotten passions that became sources of prosperity. During the process of purifying the consciousness, many people rediscovered artistic, entrepreneurial, or intellectual skills that had been suppressed by the scarcity mindset. Florence kept detailed records of over 300 cases over 15 years of applying the method. The success rate was impressive. Over 80% of the people who completed the full protocol experienced significant transformations in their financial lives within 90 days. And most importantly, these transformations were sustained over time because the change had occurred at the deepest level of consciousness. CTA Final, 1650 to 1820. The 3-day method that Florence Scovel Shinn developed to heal chronic poverty consciousness represents one of the most revolutionary discoveries in practical spirituality. For nearly a century, this knowledge remained confined to a select few of Florence's privileged disciples. But now, it's available to transform your life definitively and permanently. If you recognize in your own life the signs of chronic poverty consciousness, the unconscious sabotage of opportunities, repetitive patterns of financial hardship, a feeling of unworthiness, or a deep-seated fear related to money, this method may be the key you've been searching for, your pathway to complete liberation. I invite you to support our work of preserving and sharing this ancestral wisdom through Super Thanks. Your contribution isn't merely an expression of gratitude. It's a spiritual investment in your own transformation. With a small contribution, you acknowledge the invaluable worth of this knowledge. A larger contribution aligns you energetically with the prosperity this method can bring. A more significant contribution demonstrates active faith that this investment will return, multiplied in your life. And a generous contribution positions you as someone who truly values spiritual wisdom and is willing to invest in their own healing and growth. Remember Florence's words from her journals. The universe always multiplies what we offer with love and gratitude. When we invest in our spiritual evolution, we plant seeds of abundance that will bear fruit for all eternity. Click on Super Thanks now, and allow your conscious generosity to become the first step toward the complete healing of any poverty consciousness that may still inhabit your soul. May the transformative power of the 3-day prayer definitively free you from all financial limitations and establish in your life a permanent flow of abundance, prosperity, and divine joy. Until our next liberating revelation,